and all while sacrificing statistics to do so. Well, depending on what story you're reading and what you believe, was he happy with the Lions and his role with this team? It didn't seem like it by some accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the weekend, there was the story that Pro Football Talk had that said that he wanted out. And then he replied to that.
With his first post on Twitter in 2 years, he basically said, "Did you hear that from me?"
Right. And then here it is, 24 hours later, and he has been traded for a 5th-round pick. Are we overvaluing him here in Detroit? Probably. I'm sure lots of people thought he was going to get a 3rd-round pick. I thought maybe at best a 4th-round pick, but likely a 5th. It's a 5th. I'll take it. There's savings in the cap. I think with running backs, you hate to say they're disposable because it's a terrible word for it, but what
awful. But
what it is
what it
recycled.
Is,
yeah. I mean, you have a certain shelf life. He'd carried the ball almost 1,500 times in his career. He had another 231 receptions, and that's it's not a ton of wear on the tires there. And he's a guy you and I really like a lot.
Yeah. Liked him when he's a free agent. Liked him at Iowa State.
Yeah.
And was heartbroken to see him go to a division rival. Thrilled to see him signed as a free agent. But and I thought his time here in Detroit was very, very useful. And what we have to remember, okay, is that the decline in use, the fact that they didn't use him as much, can be attributed to John Morton, who has been blamed for a lot of the problems here in Detroit and may or may not be as culpable or more culpable or less culpable. It doesn't matter. We also have to keep in mind that David Montgomery at this point in his career, the wear and tear might have him losing a half a step. And, I don't know that's going to be the case. Who knows what's going to happen with him in Houston? I do know that there is the bell curve of production for running backs starts to go down where he is in his career. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen with him. But it certainly might be. I mean, we might find out that we are thrilled that they got a 5th-round pick back for a declining back. Or it may go down in history as a terrible move. An example of a move that in the moment in time wasn't particularly popular, but Jamal Williams, when he was with Detroit, was a very likable and well-used 1,000-yard back who has averaged less than 3.5 yards per carry since he left Detroit.
The other thing
it wasn't popular when we let him go, when Detroit let him go. People were disappointed. And then what happened? Well, they got David Montgomery. We're like, well, I'll take that trade-off any day. I think they got the most that they could out of Williams, and that also coincides with the start of Jahmyr Gibbs. So what Gibbs and Montgomery are able to accomplish in that first year, let alone what they've done over the last 3 years, it's been a great tandem, and those guys really complement each other, and that's why you had the whole Sonic and Knuckles thing. But moving on, you have to move on. And when we've talked about the draft, and I bring up a lot, there are a lot of good running backs available in the draft. I like the 2 running backs from Penn State. I like the 2 running backs from Indiana. And I think that you look at those 4, are 1 or 2 of those guys going to be available to the Lions, perhaps in the 5th round? I think yes. Kang, your 2 cents on this breaking news. If you're just joining us, David Montgomery traded to Houston for a 5th-round pick.
I think on the field it sucks because I think clearly these 2 are a great combo together. And if you're going to lose a step as that type of back, I think that's okay. It's not like a speed back losing a step. He's a power back. We all know what he does. He goes in there, gets short yardage. He roughs up. He softens up the linebackers and the defensive linemen for Gibbs, right? I think this is clearly a money move. This is a point where, of course, his production was as much, but he was getting less touches. They have to find places to save money. They just do. It's time to pay the piper, right? And this is a spot where they can save money. To get a 5th-round pick back, it's probably less than what people expected, but at this point, they're happy to just not have his contract anymore and get something in return instead of just straight up releasing him. So as we look down the line, though, you're going to have to find these type of moves moving forward because who's going to save you money because you can't keep paying these guys that you develop. At some point, the cap will catch up to you. So it sucks. Like I said, I don't like the fact that he's off the team as far as on the field stuff, but I get it off the field. This is it's a numbers game.
Okay. Just a quick Google search asking how much money this saves under the cap. And this is interesting. A pre-June 1st trade creates $3.5 million in 2026 savings. A post-June 1st trade would have saved $6 million. So by doing it now, they've created $3.5 million now. They didn't want to wait till after June 1st, or maybe Houston didn't want to wait till after June 1st. And it would be intriguing to see as to why they couldn't wait. I mean, maybe it's to have accessible cap space that they know they can use now with free agency starting in a week. But and that's not a ton of money saved. It's not a ton saved. But I think if they kept
it's
him,
the start.
And if they kept him, unless I'm wrong, this was the time that there was an out on his contract, but he's under contract, I believe, for 2 more seasons. If I'm not wrong, I'm going to double check this, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 more seasons. So it's not even just cap savings this year, it's the following year as well.
Yeah, he signed a 2-year extension from his original deal, so that's on to the Texans now. But,
yes.
And
by the way, his base salary next year, which Houston will be responsible for, is $7.5 in 2027. So it creates quite a bit of cap space 2 years from now.
Yeah, and also you don't want to play that game. Maybe there's a lot of moves being made right now, and the market might dry up where you can't even trade them. So maybe Brad Holmes saw the opportunity, saw the potential savings at least right away. So said, all right. And Demo was probably not happy. Let's be honest. He didn't look happy a lot at the end of the year.
No, I don't think it was. And look, you're running back. You want to carry the ball. You want to see the field. And there were so many. It seemed obvious that there was definitely a downturn in his usage. Not only just as a runner, just being on the field, because like I said earlier, he's a really good blocking back too. He's going to help out the Texans. He's going to be a nice compliment down there. But for the Lions, I think it's in large part it's a cap casualty. We talked about it last Friday, what we thought was going to happen. My thought was that he wasn't going to be here, that we're going to get a trade, a draft pick for him.
There's more to this story, Ken?
Yeah, apparently now Adam Schefter's coming out with updated compensation. The Texans get David Montgomery, like you guys have been saying, but the Lions will get a 4th-round pick, a 7th-round pick, and offensive lineman Juice Scruggs.
What?
Yeah. This is completely different than the 5th-round pick that people were saying originally.
Ian Rappaport originally said 5th-round pick. Okay, this is actually way better.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Interesting. So Adam Schefter updating the Ian Rappaport story, and I mean, it feels like correcting it. The Lions are getting a 4th-round pick, a 7th-round pick, and offensive lineman Juice Scruggs,
who's a guard from Penn State. He was a backup guard for them.
Interesting. And I wonder what his number is on the cap. Because I don't think they'd do this if he made a lot of money. But we'll figure that out. Wow, that trade just got better.
Former 2nd-round pick back in 2023. So,
yeah, I remember him.
So this would be his last year because he's a 2nd-round player. So this would be the 4th year in the league. Mm-hmm. So they can either extend him or just use him. So,
yeah. Intriguing. 248-539-9797.
I like the trade better now.
You mean getting more? Getting more for David Montgomery is better?
It's a 4th, not a 5th? Yeah, then I think it can definitely. And
okay.
now how many 4th-round picks do they have?
They have 2 4th-round picks. They don't have a 3rd-round pick. They still have the 2 5th-round picks that they originally had. So, and now they have the extra 7th, which can be something or nothing depending on what you do with it. 248-539-9797. All right, Detroit. There are Brad Holmes fans out there that absolutely love everything he does. There are others that find it unsatisfactory. I think even those of us that think it was really good, we all know that what's happened here is really good. It's not been enough. But Brad Holmes turns David Montgomery into 2 draft picks and a backup guard. 248-539-9797. What is your first reaction to this news that the David Montgomery time in Detroit might be over? And if it's just an emotional one, if you're sad to see David Montgomery go, I could understand why. He was a likable contributor, a good player, veteran, and a good player for this team. But this is, it's not personal, it's business, as a wise man once said. It's Karsch and Anderson, 97.1.